All right, y'all, what's going on? It's Combo Breaker 99 back with my breakdown prediction for Cris Cyborg taking on Larissa Pacheco this Saturday afternoon. Just so y'all know, main card starts at 4 p.m. It's going down for the featherweight world title. Man, this is going to be a good fight. I know we haven't really talked about this fight on this channel, or, we haven't really heard much about it at all. Like, it really hasn't been promoted like that, but I think this is going to be a good fight. I think it's going to end in a finish. I'm just going to be honest, straight up. I think it's going to end in a finish. Could possibly be candidate for fight of the year for WMMA, knockout of the year, submission of the year. Take your pick. Pick your poison, because you're dealing with two hard killers in there, man. I believe Cris Cyborg and Larissa Pacheco, even though they don't have like this beef for each other, like they, don't dislike each other like that. I think that when they look at each other, they really want to prove themselves, and they're going to do whatever it takes, to get that victory in there. Larissa Pacheco, she's got a lot riding on this. She's the lightweight, featherweight champion, and she's looking for that big name. She just got that victory over Kayla Harrison, and now she's looking to get a victory over, somebody that's considered one of the greatest in WMMA, and that's Cris Cyborg. Then you got Cris Cyborg, who's coming up on the end of her career. She's at this would be her fifth world title, in a fifth organization for MMA. So, she's looking to she's trying to make a statement. Cris Cyborg is 39 now. She wants to end on a high note in her career. I believe she said she only has maybe like another 2-3 fights, right? Maybe 3, including this one. So I know she wants to come in here and stamp it off by beating, a double champion in Larissa Pacheco. But it's going down, y'all. Real quick, I want to give my keys to victory and what I think Larissa Pacheco needs to do first. Number one, I think she needs to fight with patience. I think Larissa Pacheco really needs to just kind of take her time in the first couple of rounds and just find those openings. You can't approach a seasoned fighter like Cris Cyborg with that wild style, swinging wild, throwing hooks, or, that brawling style or pressure style like she did to Marina Mahotnica, or, even though like Kolesnik. This ain't Kolesnik. Kolesnik only lasted 30 seconds in all 3 fights. You know what I mean? When you're dealing with somebody like Cris Cyborg, Cris is going to have everything covered. So patience first. I think she needs to, just find her range with Cris Cyborg, see what she's offering, and, just set everything up, like set up the power punches with patience. Just throw out the jab. If she doesn't find the opening early, just reset and go back to the center of the octagon, and don't try to match Cris Cyborg, power for power, but, just take her time throughout the fight and just find those openings. Patience is going to get her a long way in this fight, because Cris can end it just like that. You'd rather draw the fight out, make it a little bit boring. You want to do that instead of trying to give Cris the chin right away, because if you might see an opening, but Cris, she'll see it first, because, she's been here. She's been here and done that. So I think patience is going to be a big part of what she needs to do, whether it's, trying to set up a takedown, or, just set up the power punches, set up a counter. All of that's going to really fall into that category of patience for Pacheco. Number two, I'm going to say right away, if she wants to end it early, though, is draw out the old Cris. Draw out the old Cris. Like, once she's patiently fighting behind the jab, and, she's maybe setting up her jab and matching Cris, and, she's timing it, hit Cris with one of those big shots right away, the good straight right. I say good straight right, not no hook, because that could miss off the mark. She wants to find that perfect shot. It needs to be a good right hand or several right hands or a sequence, whatever she's doing, hit Cris with some clean shots, draw out that old Cris Cyborg, because I still believe Cris has it in her. When she gets hit, she wants to get it back right away. So hit her with a couple of those straight shots and draw that old Cris out. And if Cris comes after, be prepared to fight off the back foot and land one of those hard shots. And that's one thing I'll say about Pacheco, is that I think she fights well off the back foot. Like, she still delivers that power off the back foot well. She knows how to set it up. Like, even when Kolesnik comes running at her, she knows how to set up those shots. And then when you look back at some of those later fights of Chris's career, Cris gets hit. Even in like the Arlene Blenko fight, she was getting hit with some good combinations by a boxer in Blenko, And also the Sinead Kavanaugh fight. Sinead Kavanaugh may not be able to match Cris power for power, but she drew Cris into that slugfest. Cris knew she could knock her out, but still, like, she landed a couple shots on Cris in that exchange. Ended quick, but let's say if Pacheco is able to hit her a couple of times, from a range, and Cris comes at her and wants to trade, all she needs to do is keep her hands tight and then hit her with a couple good solid shots, and she could drop her. So that's why I say, draw out that old Cris. Number three, make Cris old. Make Cris feel old in there. She's the younger fighter here. Make Cris feel a little old in there. Use your youth. You know, she's a younger fighter here, so use that youth. Clinch and work in spots. Change that pace up. Make Cris Cyborg believe that you want to go in there and wrestle with her in some moments. And yeah, you go in there and you start landing some good knees. Wear her down at your pace, but then you break, hit her with some elbows, and go right back to the outside, moving around, making her chase you. Go back on the inside and get some of that work in again. Because yeah, like I said before, Cris, she's dangerous. She's strong. She's got everything covered. So when you're dealing with a fighter like that, you got to use something that she doesn't really have on her side anymore, and that's youth. So she's going to have to act like the more active, stronger fighter in there at times and just fight in spurts and make Cris Cyborg feel old, just kind of break her down. That's something that, I believe Larissa Pacheco needs to do more in her fights is kind of systematically break fighters down. And the only way she can do that, I believe, in this type of fight is using her youth. Last but not least, got to look to hurt and do damage. She just can't peck away and respect Cris in this fight. She's got to do damage just like she's doing to everybody else. Of course, in this type of fight, it's going to have to be smart. That's why I say patience is number one. You got to look to hurt Cris and do damage. That's the only way you're going to get a decisive victory over Cris Cyborg. These punchers, they're dangerous. You got to bully them back and you got to hurt them. I always go back to Evander Holyfield, Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson's so used to knocking people out, but if you hurt him back, he's pretty much done for. Evander Holyfield was able to bully, rough him up, and get that respect. So Pacheco, I believe she's going to have to just look to hurt with every single shot she's landing. Just be smart about it, but she's got to do damage. Cris Cyborg, what I feel like she needs to do in this fight, Cris Cyborg, I think she needs to focus on them leg kicks. I think Cris Cyborg has some powerful leg kicks, big legs, strong. I think she needs to slowly chop away that lead leg early of Pacheco so she can't generate that power. Kind of lure Pacheco into thinking she wants to trade and she wants to just land upstairs and go head hunting. So if Pacheco gets heavy on that front foot, she needs to start tagging that lead leg, start chewing that calf up early, hitting her behind the knee early so she can't really get that leverage to throw any power shots, and then start going to that body. When she start going to that body, the elbow's going to drop, and then the headshot's open. So I think she just needs to alternate between working the legs and the body of Pacheco so she can't really generate her own power, and that way she can just break her down to get to the head. Number two, stay composed, because going back to what I was saying earlier, Pacheco might try to draw out the old Cris. So Cris Cyborg needs to learn how to stay composed in fights. I know she loves to get these knockouts and finishes, but you can pull her into a fight. You can pull her into that fight, and she still has that emotional side to her. When she thinks she's got somebody rattled, she goes wild. So the minute you show a reaction, she's going to come after you. So I think Cris needs to just make sure she's staying composed, making sure that Pacheco really is hurt before she tries to go in there swinging wild. And also, if she does get hit, let Pacheco have it, reset, go back to what she's doing. There's going to have to be moments where they both have to kind of, just grit their teeth and bear it and say, okay, you got me in that exchange. Let me reset and recover and go back to what I was doing. So staying composed is going to be a big part for Cris Cyborg here again, just so that she can, break her opponent down and, make sure that she's, still got enough to go down the stretch, if it goes down the stretch. Number three, I'll say, is the jab. I think Cris Cyborg's jab has gotten better over the years, looking at some of her boxing matches. That's going to set up her that's going to set up her striking period in this fight. I think her boxing has gotten better over the years. Going into boxing has helped her become patient and learn that, look, you can't go in there swinging wild. You got to take your time with these punches. It's all about timing, So if she works her jab like she does in her boxing matches, that's going to open up everything from her hooks to her power shots, body shots, the right hands. I think it's all going to start with how Cris, dissects her opponent and just breaks her down with that jab, when she finds that range, and then she's able to set up her own right hand off that jab. So, yeah, bring that boxing element that she's been learning and, gaining experience from those pro fights into this one. Last but not least, go for the takedowns. I think she needs to take Pacheco down. Don't give Pacheco that chance to land any power on her. Get this fight to the ground. A lot of people are kind of underestimating Cris now on the ground. I don't think we really get to see her ground game like that because she knocks people out. But she's been rolling and she's been working like that for years. She's got that experience on the ground. So I think, once she's chewed up that lead leg a few times, and once she's gone in there and landed some good shots, and, Pacheco thinks that's going to be a boxing and striking match, get that takedown, body lock takedown, and, use that top control, land that ground and pound, and try to get her out of there as quick as she can. And again, you want to get Pacheco down to the ground and just kind of maul and wear it down, because if you're the better wrestler, your technical style and your position, the positioning Cris Cyborg is able to get, she could just wear Pacheco down. I know Pacheco's effective off the bat, but with the side control of Cris Cyborg and with her hip control, I believe that, she can just wear Pacheco down with a mixture of that and some ground and pound. So, yeah, that's my keys to victory. How I see this fight going, like I said, it's not going 5. I think there might be some back and forth moments early, in the first round. Is as much as I want to say they both will try to stay patient and respect each other, I think whoever lands first, they're going to go buck. They're going to go buck, and they're going to go after it. And I'm going to be honest here. Look, with Cris Cyborg being a much more patient striker here, I think that if she's able to fight behind the smart jab early in the first couple rounds, or maybe one round, when Pacheco gets a taste of the power of Cris Cyborg, that's going to be the deciding factor on how Pacheco reacts throughout the fight. Like, if the right hand buckles her a few times, we'll see what type of game plan she has after that. Will she go into respect mode? Will she go in for takedowns? Or will she be really damaged from these shots where she's just blindly trying to go in there for, a victory, or is she just trying to survive at that point? So it's going to be interesting, y'all. Went on a little bit longer than I wanted, but yeah, I was just kind of looking at, the stats of these two and, the skill sets. I think it's going to be a good fight. I do, man. And I'm going to go with Cris Cyborg by finish. I don't know what round. Larissa might make it tough, but Larissa does have a chance. Like I said, if Pacheco is able to use those strong keys, like I said, which would be pulling Cris into a fight, and she's able to land some off the back foot or use her youth and just kind of break down Cris Cyborg, which I'm not sure she'll be able to do. It'll have to come down to her trying to catch Cris, really, in my opinion. If she's able to do those things, I could see the fight going her way. But I'm going to go with Cris by finish, probably by a TKO. What do you guys think in the comment section? Going to be a good fight. I'm going to call it. Combo Breaker 99. I'm out.